Hey guys, so here's how here's a help video on application of trigonometry. Solve each problem, round to the nearest hundredth. So let's take a look at number one. Always good idea to make a right triangle, you guys. So it says a tower casts a shadow that is 60 feet long when the angle of elevation of the sun is 65 degrees. So a tower casts a shadow, you guys. So here's the shadow, right? Here's the shadow. And this tower casts a shadow that's 60 feet long. And the angle of elevation, and remember, angle of elevation is the angle that forms with the ground. So that's 65 degrees. How tall is the tower? We're trying to solve for that. So in the perspective of this angle, opposite and this is adjacent, so it's definitely going to be using tangent. Tan of 65 equals opposite over adjacent. And to solve for this, you guys, we cross multiply. X times 1 is x. 60 times tan 65, 60 tan 65. Okay. Now, if we put that in our calculator, right? 60 tan 65. We're going to get tangent 65. And please, please, please remember to always change your thing to degrees. So it's going to be that right there. And if we round that to the nearest hundredth, it's going to be 128.67. 128.67 units feet. And that's how tall the tower would be. Number 2. Okay, so Matt is standing on top of a cliff 300 feet above a lake. So here's our cliff, 305 feet, and Matt is standing on top of the cliff, right? This is the lake, by the way. The measurement of the angle of depression, so you guys, angle of depression is formed with the ceiling, and it would be this angle right here. So remember, angle of depression, which is the angle formed with the ceiling, is the same as the angle of elevation, which is formed with the ground. They're congruent. How far is the boat from the base of the cliff? Well, here's the boat, everybody. And the base of the cliff is right here. So we're trying to figure out how much is this length. So from the perspective of this angle, this is opposite, this is adjacent. So this is going to be using, just making sure the last problem was good, tangent. Tan 42 equals opposite over adjacent. Cross multiply, x tan 42 equals 305, and to isolate our x, divide both sides by tan 42. So x equals 305 over tan 42, and that is what we need to put into the calculator. 35 divided by tan of 42, I think that's what it was. Oh, 305. 305. And if then we round that to the nearest hundred, so 338.74. 0.74. We round up because next to the 3 is 6, round the 3 up to 0.4. So this is going to be 338.74 units feet. That's the distance from the boat to the base of the cliff. Now this drawing, you guys, is going to be awfully familiar to what we just did, except now what they're asking you guys is, so the angle of depression is still the angle formed with the ceiling, which is the same as angle of elevation, but now it says how far is the boat from Matt. Well, here's the boat, here's Matt, so we're trying to find this distance right there. So we're trying to figure out what this is now. So in the perspective of this is opposite, and this is now hypotenuse. So now we gotta use sine. Sine 42 equals opposite over hypotenuse. Cross multiply. And divide both sides by sine 42. So x equals 305 divided by sine 42, which is different from the other one because I was tan 42. So 305 divided by sine 42. 44.83. Wait a second. 305 divided by sine 42. I keep on forgetting that. 305. 455.82. 455.82. Units, feet. Okay, so that's number 3. Number 4. Okay, a ladder that is 20 feet long is leaning against the side of a building. Here's the building. And this ladder is leaning against the building. So this is 20 feet long, right? If the angle formed between the ladder and the ground is 75 degrees. So here's the ground, everybody. So the angle formed between the ladder and the ground is right here. If that's 75 degrees, how far is the bottom of the ladder to the base of the building? What is that distance? That's what we're trying to find. Bottom of the ladder to the base of the building, so we're trying to find that right there. So in the perspective of this angle, this is adjacent over hypotenuse. So cosine 75 equals adjacent over hypotenuse. Cross multiply, x equals 20 cosine 75, which is roughly, putting in our calculator, 20 cosine 75. That is 5.18. 5.18. Units, feet. Okay. Number 5. Okay, a ladder that is 30 feet long. Okay, so again, this is the ladder, you guys. It is 30 feet long. Needs to reach 27 feet up a building. So here's the building again, and it needs to reach 27 feet up this building. What should the angle off of the vertical be? Well, here's the vertical line, you guys, and the angle off of that would be this one. So we're trying to find that angle right there. So in the perspective of this angle, this is hypotenuse, this is adjacent. So definitely going to be using cosine. Cosine of theta equals adjacent over hypotenuse. And to solve for our angle, we need to do cosine inverse to both sides. So theta equals cosine inverse of 27 over 30, because this cosine inverse cancels with the cosine, right? So what angle measurement is cosine inverse of 27 over 30? Functions, cosine inverse 27 divided by 27 divided by 30. Round up to the nearest hundreds, 25.84 degrees. 25.84 degrees, because we solve for an angle. Number 6, you are standing 50 meters from a hot air balloon that's prepared to take off. So the hot air balloon already went up. So you are standing 50 meters from the hot air balloon before it even took off. So this is the 50 meters. And you are now over here. So the angle of elevation is the angle formed with the ground. It's the angle formed with the ground. So this is your guys' angle of elevation. Find the height of the balloon. Well, here's the balloon. We're trying to find the height of it, so we're trying to solve for that. So in the perspective of this angle, opposite, adjacent, so this is definitely tangent. Tan 28 equals opposite over adjacent. And then you guys to solve, you gotta cross multiply. X equals 50 tan 28. And if we calculate what 50 tan 28 is in the calculator, 50 tan 28. 26.59. Rounded to the nearest hundredth. 26.59. .59 units, meters. Okay. Number 7. Okay, a man is in a boat that is floating 175 feet from the base of a cliff. So here's the cliff, everybody. 200 feet. A boat is floating 175 meters away from the base, which is the bottom of the cliff. So the boat and the man 175 feet away. And this is the lake, I'm assuming. Or it's the water, or whatever that is. So what is the angle of depression between the cliff and the boat? Well, here's the angle of depression, you guys, which is right there. That's theta, which is also congruent to the angle of elevation, right? So we have to find what this angle is. So in the perspective of this angle, this is opposite, this is adjacent, so this is definitely tangent. Tan theta equals 200 all over 175. So to solve for theta, we gotta do the tan inverse to both sides. Theta equals tan inverse of 200 all divided by 175, which is roughly tan inverse of 200 divided by 175. 48.81 degrees. 48.81 degrees. So that's 7. Number 8. So John wants to measure the height of a tree. Okay. So here's a tree. And he wants to measure the height of that tree. He walks 100 feet away from the tree. So that's 100 feet. And he is here. The angle from the ground to the top of the tree is 33 degrees. So here's the ground, everybody, and the angle formed from the ground to the top, him looking at the top of the tree, this is 33 degrees. So we need to find the height of the tree. So in the perspective of this angle, this is opposite, this is adjacent. So this is another tangent. Tan 33 equals opposite over adjacent. Put this over 1, cross multiply, x equals 100 tan 33. And when we plug that in into our calculator, 100 tan 33, we get 64.94. 64.94 units feet. That's how tall the tree is. 64.94. Okay, number 9. The flagpole in front of CB East casts a shadow that is 40 feet long. Okay, shadow on the ground, 40 feet long. Here's the flagpole, right, that casts that shadow. When the measurement of the angle of elevation to the sun is 31 degrees. Again, angle of elevation is created with the ground, right? 31 degrees. How tall is this flagpole? From the perspective of this angle, opposite, adjacent, tan 31 equals opposite over adjacent. Cross multiply, x equals 40 tan 31. So 40 tan 31, 40 tan 31, that's 24.03. 24.03. 24.03 feet long is the flagpole. 24.03 feet. Okay. Number 10. Kelly is flying a kite to which the angle of elevation is 70 degrees. So, angle of elevation is the angle formed with the ground. The string on the kite is 65 meters long. So, how far is the kite above the ground? So you guys, if this person's flying a kite, this is the string, and it should make sense because the string to a kite is diagonal, right? So here's our lovely kite. So how far is the kite above the ground? Well, we're trying to find this then, right? So perspective of this angle, opposite hypotenuse, sine of 70 equals opposite over hypotenuse. Cross multiply, x equals 65 sine of 70. And then we gotta put it into decimals. 65 sine of 70, that is 61.08. 61.08 feet. That is, or meters. Meters. That's how far the kite is above the ground. 11. Okay, a straight water slide is 175 meters above the ground. So, water slide is 175 meters above the ground and is 200 feet long. What is the angle of depression to the bottom of the slide? So, okay, so a straight water slide is 175 meters above the ground, okay, and it is, okay, so the water slide is this, you guys, and it is 200 feet long, so it's 200 feet long, and it makes sense, you guys, because people are going down the water slide like this, right? So the water slide itself is 200 feet long, and it's above the ground 175 feet. What is the angle of depression? So, again, angle of depression is the angle formed with the ceiling, which is also congruent to the angle of elevation. So, from the perspective of this angle, this is opposite, this is hypotenuse, so this is using sine. Sine theta equals opposite over hypotenuse. And in order to solve for theta, you guys, the angle, you gotta do sine inverse to both sides. Theta equals sine inverse of 175 all over 200. So sine inverse of 175 divided by 200, 61.04 degrees. 61.04 degrees is the angle that is formed with that water slide. Number 12. Okay, so a 200-foot observation tower. This is the tower, everyone. There's a man who sights a whale. That's difficulty. The angle of depression, which is the angle formed with the which is the angle that's formed with the ceiling, is 7 degrees, which is also congruent to the angle of elevation. How far is the whale from the shoreline? Shoreline's here, whale is here. How long is this length? So from the perspective of this angle, this is opposite adjacent. Tan of 7 equals opposite over adjacent. Cross multiply. X tan of 7 equals 200. Divide both sides by tan 7. X equals 200 over tan 7, which is roughly, in your guys' calculator, 200 divided by tangent of 7 degrees. 1628.87. So 1628.87 units feet. That's how far the shoreline is to the whale. So again, just make sure you guys practice this, and the more you guys practice, the easier it is to draw these and to do the math. Okay? Good luck, everyone. Peace.